Hello everyone, welcome to my next video. I can confirm that Railgun T is airing next week on May 1st, so on that day I'll be releasing a Railgun related video for that specific episode and for a wider context. But today we're going to be talking about arguably one of the most hated characters in the series, Index herself. Not many people like this character, and it's mainly because of the anime. Because the anime, she is very annoying. Her gags are overused. I mean, those gags are still in the light novel, but since there's so much information, you don't really process it as much. It doesn't stand out nearly as much. But nevertheless, like when it comes to the main heroines of Index, the series, I mean, you have Misaka, Shokuho, and Orphanus being the most popular. No one really talks about Index, and there's a whole meme about, oh, Kamachi forgot about her, that she's not relevant to the current, light novels in New Testament, since she just appears just for the sake of appearing half the time, even though she's the title character of the series, which kind of annoys some people. But I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just analysing her character specifically, not her lack of screen time per se. And I do not think Index is a bad character. I actually quite like her character. And before you start disliking the video, let me explain. Watch the whole video and I will tell you why Index is a good character. I'm not saying she's the best character. I'm not saying she's a better written character than Aleister or Accelerator. I feel like after the early arcs of Index, Kamachi kind of stops adding new things to her character. Especially after World War III. Because the Fiamma stuff added some new stuff. But after that, not so much. So, why is Index a good character? I do think that a lot of fans do label her as annoying, as I've said before, for the recurring gags, the head biting, the ravenous appetite, and it's quite easy to criticise her for these things. But Index's character is all about identity and her struggle with her past, basically, that she doesn't even remember. So, as you may know, Index is from the Anglican Church, and Index is not her real name. That's just the Grimoire Library. So her purpose in life is just to be this Grimoire Library. She's not considered as an actual person. She is just used as this library by the Archbishop Lola Stewart. So this is pretty messed up to begin with. I mean, she's only a young girl and she's just being used because of her perfect memory to absorb these toxic books into her head. And she's not even allowed to use magic because of fears that she'll become a magic god if she can fully use magic, since these books are pretty powerful. And she's basically used as a political tool as well. She travels to the Roman Catholic Church to absorb some of the books. It's purely for the diplomacy between churches. And if you think that isn't fucked up, I mean, Lola orders her memory to be wiped yearly because of these scares about her becoming a magic god. Or betraying the church and giving the magical knowledge to other churches. And this is just more evidence that she's just treated like an object. She's just a victim, and she's not even aware of it either because she loses her memory. And this doesn't allow her to make any actual relationships with people, since all her friends forget about her. This is the whole point of the first Index arc. Stiyl forgets about her, Kanzaki forgets about her despite knowing her much longer than Touma did. And then, of course, Aureolus, which Kamachi revealed Aureolus was, in fact, Touma if he gave up on saving Index or chose the wrong path of saving Index. And Touma would have ended up like Aureolus. That's what Kamachi, the writer of Index, was going with. And in the Index manga, you do get to see some of her past. You get some flashbacks of her being chained up like a doll and being forced to read these grimoires, or grimoires, I don't know how you pronounce it. So this is the importance of friendship when it comes to Index, since Stiyl and Kanzaki basically gave up on her. They didn't want to. They loved her like so much as a friend, but they just couldn't bring themselves to think of the possibility to save them. And this is what separates them from Touma. Touma never gave up on her, despite just like meeting her. But Stiyl and Kanzaki are more realists. However, Touma is an idealist. Touma always looks for the good no matter what. No matter what happens, he always looks for the greater good. While Stiyl and Kanzaki are more grounded and know what the real world is kind of like. Touma's a bit naive, since, you know, Kanzaki and Stiyl both have pretty traumatic past themselves, especially Kanzaki. And this is also why Index acts like a child, because listen, if you had your memory wiped every year, what do you think would happen to you? Your personality would kind of pretty much change entirely, apart from Touma. I mean, Touma sticks, even after like Touma loses his memory, he always sticks to like what's in his heart rather than in his brain, to act what he thinks is good, what would be good after the Index arc. But we don't know what Index was like before her first memory wipe. But this kind of like, at least this is my theory, this like makes her more immature and to like a childlike mentality. Like all these consecutive memory wipes, since she doesn't know how to interact with people, it's pretty evident. Like if you see how she interacts with Touma at the start, it's clear that she does not know what normal social relationships are like. And I think Kamachi did a really good job writing this in the light novel. At least this is what I've interpreted it as. And with Index's John's pen, that's when she turns into the robot mode and starts reading the grimoires and using magic. That is basically when Index becomes the full object. That's when she loses all sense of humanity. That is when she becomes the actual Grimoire Library. That's why John's pen is so bad, because people can control her with just a remote control. And that is when, you know, the point of Index is that she always has the hope to become a normal person, especially after Touma saves her. But John's pen is the antithesis of that. John's pen is where all hope is lost, and this is what Index could ultimately become if Lola had her way and Touma did not save her in the first arc. And that is why Index and Kazakiri become so attached to each other. It's because they both relate to each other. Because they both see themselves, or they have that side to them where they're not human. Kazakiri sees herself as a monster, and Index has the Grimoire Library thing going on. They just want to be seen as normal people. And that is why Touma lying to Index is such a bad thing, since Fiamma exploits that in Old Testament 16. However, Index still forgives him and wants to move on, despite Fiamma saying, "Oh, Touma, you're such a shitty person for lying to Index. How can you say you're morally just when you lie to this innocent girl who's had no human like relationships that she can even remember?" And that says a lot about Index. I mean, I think her character's pretty wholesome. After World War III, you don't really see much of her New Testament. I mean, she doesn't get much character development or anything. But this is my interpretation of a character. People might have other interpretations, that's completely fine. But when reading the light novels, I definitely got a lot more out of her character. In the anime, I didn't like her, not gonna lie. So if you haven't read the light novels, I recommend doing so. It's just like so much more detail, and you actually start to care about the magic side a lot more as a whole. So, tell me in the comments what you think about Index. Am I right? Does she deserve the hate? I don't think so. I think she's had enough trouble in her life already. She doesn't deserve more hate. But I can understand people saying that she should be more relevant in the current novels at least. But who knows, maybe in Genesis Testament she will have a bigger role, but we can't say for sure. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe and like if you haven't already, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.